welcome to Weekend Project. I'm Laura Lynn of the Mama Pup Quilt Shop, and today we're going to recycle some t-shirts. Thanks for joining us today. Today I'm taking some of the stained and holey shirts that we have around here between me and the boys and putting them to a different use. Well, whether we use this as a foot mat or a decorative piece as a pillow, wall hanging, or whatever, there's lots of uses for it. So what I've done is I've recycled the t-shirt as I'm cutting strips off the bottom. I cut my strips at 1 inch thick, 1 to 1 1/4 inch thick. It's not an exact science. Some people find marking and using with scissors is easier than using a rotary cutter. It's completely up to you. How you deconstruct the shirt is also important of how many pieces you're going to get out of it. So what I was doing is, let me just leave off the way it was actually here. So here's one of Munchkin's shirts. It had some serious stains on them. We're just going to cut off the sleeves. Okay. Cut off the sleeves there. Okay. And then we can cut out this pocket. Okay. That'll be a bit thick. Okay. Okay. And then what I was doing was just cutting 1 inch strips off. Here, actually, we don't want the seam in there because that does make the rotary cutter go a little bumpy. Okay, so we're trying to want to avoid seams as much as possible. Okay, so we take our little ruler, and we're going to just visually, unless you want to mark it and cut it with scissors, that's completely up to you. We're just going to do a visual about 1 inch, 1 and a little bit on the majority here. Okay, and then right across. Okay, just scoot that down out of the way. Cut another strip, keeping your fingers completely out of the way of the blade. Here. And you're just going to process the shirt just like that, cutting strips and strips and strips. In the end, you want your pieces to be 1 inch wide and 2 inches long. Okay? That's what's going to make this project for today anyways. You never know. Could be another one next week. Well, actually, no. It's Get to Know My Neighborhood. And then I'm just going to take my ruler, and that one is approximately 2 inches. That's a little bit longer than 2 inches. Here, let's just trim that up. Okay. It's not an exact science. You're not sewing these together. You're going to sew them down, but only piece by piece. Okay, so there, and then I'm going to come up 2 inches, and over 2 inches, and 2 inches. And you're going to process all the shirts that you want at the same time. Now, it's great if you have some multicolored shirts. You've got different colored ones you can process. Maybe some of the kids have outgrown and you're taking the label, the front part, like this, like the logo here for this shirt. You want to save that and then but recycle the rest. I've done that already with a couple of shirts that we've liked the logos of. Okay, and then we're going to take this. Oh, here's this little container. And then separate them out, and then you're just going to put them in your little stacks. Make sure that they're at least the 2 inches by 1 inch. Okay. And you put them in your little container. That was too small. Okay, and then you just got your little. You're going to have quite a bit to work with, so you're going to have to process a couple of shirts. Okay. Okay, so once you get the shirt processing stuff down. Okay. Then you take a nice stabilizing fabric and maybe some corduroy or some maybe outside textile fabric that you don't really want to use or something like that for a project, but you can use it as a base. So what I did is I just took a chunk of this tan sort of faux suede that I have here at the shop, and I put down a row first. Just sew down one row, and I'll show you how that goes. And then to snug up against it, I did 2 rows of the same. So I did 2 rows of the blue and white, and then 2 rows of the gray, and then 2 rows of the blue and white. And I just kind of, with my arm, snug it this way, and then I'm going to lay my pieces just like this. I'm going to give it a little tug before it goes underneath the needle, and I'm going to rest my foot along this position here. You can see that this position here, resting the edge of my foot right up against the previous line, and I'm just going to sew down, and it's going to give me this little like fan effect or a V effect, I guess, and you're just sewing down in between, okay? And that's going to create a fun little tactile carpet. So you can, like I said, you can use this as a pillow, you can use this as something to cuddle with. It's great for the t-shirts because the t-shirts don't have a tendency to fray. You could also, if you didn't have any t-shirts, do this with some batiks. Why not? Batiks don't really fray. Okay, so now we're going to take this, put it underneath our sewing machine, and sew a couple rows. I have to do gray actually because I already did the other one. So I could take a little stack and I just put it right beside my sewing table right here so I can take it and feed it. Okay, now whether you work this way and smush it with your right hand and go up with your foot, or do it this way, is whatever you're comfortable on your machine. Okay, and this also is something you could even just hand tack too to make something fun like this. It could be a project on the go. Okay. All right, so let's scoot over to the machine, and we're just going to take one piece at a time. Okay. And we're going to, because it's only 1 by 2, we're just going to give it a little pull. Okay, and it's going to give that little curl to it. Hold on, I'm going to feel like I'm going to drop all my piles as soon as I want to get going here. And just scoot your little fabric over like I was saying. And then I'm going to line this one up here, and I'm going to use the edge of my foot to ride along the rest of my previous fabric right here. I'm going to use the edge of my foot in my machine against the fabric. Okay, I'm going to try and put this right in the center. Okay, so take a couple stitches, and then I was pinching the fabric up under it. So I was taking a piece, giving it a pull, and then sliding it right underneath the foot. Okay, I know it's hard to see, so without trying to do that. Okay, you can kind of see that there, and I'm just pulling the little strings or the little threads apart, not the threads but the fabric apart, and then sewing down, trying to keep it as steady as possible. Okay, and here again, taking the little piece and then just giving a little tug so it got that little curl to it, and then slide it right under the foot. Don't have to lift your foot. Okay, a couple stitches. And that is how you build out this beautiful. You want to keep that one back. You don't want to double sew those, but you want to scoot that under and give it a nice good little, so it's pinching like a little bit of a bow tie sort of thing. Okay. All right. Just kind of snuggle it under. It's a t-shirt, right? So snuggle it under. Make sure you're keeping your foot rested against here, your previous line. And then with doing that, you can make some beautiful designs. Oops. Okay. And it certainly recycles some shirts. Could be a nice memory shirt. Maybe it was a favorite feel to it. And well, now you got that feel, and you could turn it into a pillow or like a little mat beside your bed, or serving trivet sort of thing, or hot plates to sit on. Having a unique wall hanging piece. Oops, lay that flat. And scoot it under. Lay it flat. Scoot it under. Give it a little tug. Scoot it under. Okay. All right, so let's, you know how to do that there. Let me let go to the, oops, I'm sorry. I'm trying to give you the best view I could for that camera. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, we probably won't be using that yet. And then once you get all that done, and you can make this beautiful, like as big as you want to make it, you can also just do a one design. You could do like a little swirl and then fill in that swirl, or just follow the line, do someone's name, a family initial, a crest. There's so many different ideas. Do a little wave, do a boathouse, do a lighthouse, do an animal shape. It doesn't matter. And of course you can fill it in. So you can see I was kind of filling it in on the bottom part here. I do think that at the top here, I needed to maybe define my space a little bit by trimming these up. And that's just easy enough to do with a pair of scissors, okay? So if you feel like you want that other space in between, or I can just come in and fill it with another color. Just got to be careful which way you're going. So you'd have black on the one side and a light tone on the other. Okay. So think about it. Think a nice creative way. I mean, this is something very tactile, something nice to rub your feet on maybe, or even make a lovely mat that the baby crawls on, or, you know, a mat for the door. I even thought of putting these strips on either side, especially when I was doing this one. It made me think of having like you know, the oven mitts, but you make it so you can dry your dog. You know what I mean? You kind of just fold the edges over and there you go. Puppers is dry from coming inside, from outside. Yeah, so hopefully you take on this project. I think it's very fun and a great way to use old t-shirts. This one was covered in paint, so there was no point in using it out anymore. So, and I had a few holes in it. I have noticed that there are a couple of our quilt shop shirts got a couple little holes in the bottom corners and stuff. Oh, there's one right there. So we'll end up recycling those, but we'll save the logos and definitely be making a t-shirt quilt out of that. But this is definitely one way to reuse the rest of the fabric to make something different. So hope you have an amazing day. Big hugs to you. Thank you so much for joining us. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a thumbs up and let me know if you've done something like this before or what you're going to make if you want to make it. So thank you for joining us. We'll see you Saturday at 1 p.m. Eastern for our live streams. Take care, everybody. We'll see you soon.